Let me get my screen operating. All righty, can you all see my screen at this point?
Yes, we are just
great.
seeing a couple of black blocks on the presentation.
How about that?
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, great. So good morning, everybody. As Dominica said, I'm Hilton Halleck. I serve as the Provost of Alaska Pacific University. And I am joined, I believe, by Brian McDermott, who's our Director of Admissions, and there he is, and Amy Potter, who is our Assistant Director of Admissions, and they're busy working elders and youth and other events today. So we're really glad we could have some time with you today. It looks like a great group. I'm here to share a little bit about Alaska Pacific University, and I have some slides, but I hope to leave some time for questions and answers if you guys have that want more information about APU. So let's see. Next slide. So APU, you may know, is a small independent university based in Alaska. We're located primarily in Anchorage, Alaska, but we have another campus out in Palmer, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. Our vision is to honor Alaska's Indigenous heritage, exemplify excellence, and prepare paths for educational adventures and work. Our mission is to provide world-class, hands-on, culturally responsive educational experiences in collaboration with our communities, students, communities, and tribal partners. And I think that's really a unique mission, and that we engage our students and our communities in our work, and really are trying to be very responsive to the needs of Alaska communities. So let me just tell you a little bit about our education. We really work to provide a quality education. Many of our programs, all of our programs are accredited through regional accreditation, but several of them have programmatic accreditation, including our education programs, our nursing programs, and our business programs. And really our quality education is down to outstanding faculty. We have a very low faculty-student ratio, about 8-to-1. It is small and personalized. We have about 600 students this fall. We had 758 students last year in the 12-month total. So it's really an opportunity to personalize your education, to be known to your faculty, to really be able to tailor your education to your personal interests. We emphasize engaged and experiential education. So a lot of our programs are very hands-on. This is a picture of our students who go out and float the Yukon every fall. We have our first-year students and some new transfer students have that adventure during their fall block class. We also find that many of our students are they're characterized by kind of a purpose-driven education. It's not so much about their individual advancement, but they want to serve their communities and their families. And so they're very purposeful in their work. We are simultaneously Indigenous and diverse, and I'll tell you a little bit about our transition to a tribal university. Many of you have probably heard that APU is transitioning to a tribal university, and I always get the question about where are we with that. We were founded by Dr. Peter Gordon Gould, who was the first Alaska Native Methodist minister in the country, and he was stationed as superintendent of mission in Alaska, and he traveled the state and recognized there was a need for a liberal arts education, an alternative to the university system at the time. And we are honoring that founding mission by moving to become a tribal university. Right now, we're considered an Alaska Native serving institution. The threshold for that is 20% of your students are Alaska Native or American Indian. And right now we have over 25% of our students identify as Alaska Native or American Indian. The reason I have 25 plus is those are just the ones that self-identify on the kind of standard IPEDS race and ethnicity categories. If you count students who don't identify a race or an ethnicity, but do tell us that they are tribally affiliated, that gets us up to over 30%. 15% of our faculty are Indigenous of some sort and of Indigenous heritage, including Alaska Native, Indigenous Puerto Rican, and Cherokee. We have an elders council that guides our work, and we are working to indigenize our curriculum and our campus. That involves everything from our rural and Alaska Native student services to art on the walls to specific classes and integration of traditional knowledge into our curriculum. To become a real tribal college and university by the federal standards, we need up to 50% or more of our undergraduate students or of our students becoming or being Alaska Native or American Indian. So we're pretty far away from that, but we feel like if we do what we've committed to do in terms of indigenizing our campus and curriculum and creating a space where students can bring their whole selves, then we will have done our work and are trying to serve Alaska and Alaska Native communities. So let me tell you a little bit about our students. As I mentioned, last year we had 758 students. They are a diverse population. About 75% of them are undergraduates. 12% of them are residential. So we have about 70 plus students who live on campus. So many of them are coming from different areas around Anchorage, but also around the state with our online programs. 31% of them are first generation college students. 88% of our students come from Alaska, and that is really diverse, everything from Utqiagvik down to Ketchikan. And so we represent in the first year class 31 villages, towns, and cities around Alaska. We also brought in students from other US states and around the world. We have 11 students from 9 other countries here. So we will always be recruiting from around the state and as well as from the lower 48. And we have some partnerships that allow us to recruit internationally as well. And just to give you a sense of this incoming cohort, we're very transfer friendly, and these are numbers from August. So our freshman cohort has gone up a bit since then, but we really do have the majority of our incoming class are transfer students. That can include students who have some dual credit. They may have started another institution and want to get back to Alaska or get to a smaller university environment where they can be very successful. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. As I mentioned, we have 2 campuses. The top picture is a picture of our Anchorage campus. The middle picture is our Palmer campus. Our Palmer campus hosts our master's program in outdoor and environmental education. It also has a school for a complementary school for homeschooled students, and it is a working farm. So we have interns who work out at our farm, and we run farm stands during the summer and produce a lot of food for various retail agencies around town, but also the Alaska Native Medical Center, and again, for farm stand CSA shares. We offer over 30 programs. Those run from undergraduate certificate programs to doctorate in psychology, and they're really in very diverse fields. We have outdoor studies, we have education, we have science programs in marine environmental science, we have liberal studies, we have counseling psychology, health sciences, and business and public policy, in addition to some other ones. We have the only environmental public health undergraduate program in the state, and other unique Alaska Native governance and other kinds of unique programs for our state. As I mentioned, we are accredited. All of those programs, including our education programs and our nursing programs, are accredited both regionally and programmatically. We have tutors and career services and other kinds of academic advising and support for our students. Those services are all free and they're available in person as well as online and accessible to some of our rural students. And again, we have a rural and Alaska Native Student Services office. I mentioned the 2 campuses. I forgot to mention that we have instructional locations around the state. Our LPN and other nursing programs are offered in Bethel, Utqiagvik, Fairbanks, Juneau, and the Mat-Su Valley. We have a number of dual enrollment and articulation programs and other special programs. Our early honors program is our primary dual enrollment program. We've been doing this program for over 20 years at APU. It involves high school juniors and seniors primarily, and students come and take a couple of courses on campus as a cohort, but they also are able to take any other courses that they're interested in APU. So it's not tailored to one particular discipline. They can really explore their options here. And they are fully immersed in other classes. They have seats on student government and they're involved in clubs and they're really kind of treated as full-time college students. So that is a fantastic program for us. We also are part of a consortium called the Eco League. The Eco League is a consortium of 6 colleges and universities around the country that are interested in sustainability issues and environmental studies, and students can take a course, can take up to 2 semesters away at Eco League schools. Those schools are in Maine and Florida and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and Arizona and Alaska. So it's an exciting opportunity for students who want to explore a different bioregion of the country. We're also members of the University Arctic, which is a consortium of schools and agencies that are interested in research and education in the circumpolar north. And we're part of an exchange program called North to North. So students can go spend a semester or a year at another north to north school. And those include all the Scandinavian countries and Canada, as well as some programs in Japan. We have articulation agreements with several colleges and universities. The ones that are probably most relevant to this group are Alaska Christian College and Illisavik College. We're also working on some graduate articulation with Seattle University to provide an MBA and a JD program at APU. And again, we're very transfer friendly. We're really willing to work with students to develop a degree plan that works for them and gets them done in a timely way. It makes me a little crazy when I meet people who have 200 college credits and no degree, when some good academic advising will help them establish their degree plan and get them done for their degree so they can move on and either in their work or other studies. So we're very willing to work with students in their transfer articulation, and we have a number of degree programs that are very open to the transfer of various kinds of credits. So if you have students who are interested in transferring, I would tell them to contact admissions and we'll set them up with academic advisors and our registrar's office who will help them with their transfer articulation. We're really about promoting access to education, and that takes a number of different forms. One is we are on a semester system, but we have different course delivery formats. Many of our graduate programs are in module format, so they're 7 or 8 week modules, 2 7 or 8 week modules within each semester. Our undergraduate programs, some go full-time, full semester, but most of them are on a block and session term structure. So block is the first 4 weeks of a semester, and students typically take 1 class. It's great for intensive classes, for expedition classes, for travel courses. And so you can travel without having to worry about your other schedules and things like that. It's also great for subsistence, taking care of your subsistence needs. If you're, want to go hunting or fishing with your family in September and you're not in certain degree programs, you can certainly not be on campus during that time. We have on-campus programs, we have online programs, and we have hybrid programs. Most of our graduate programs are in a hybrid format where students take classes online and then come for intensive weekends during the semester. We're also working to develop programs that provide credit for competencies, essentially apprenticeships. We have health occupation apprenticeships, which we do in partnership with the Alaska Primary Care Association. We give credit for community health aid certifications, and we are working on an apprenticeship program for education students. We also promote access by becoming a test-blind undergraduate admission school. For years, we were test optional, which meant that you could or could not turn in standardized tests like ACTs or SATs, and we might consider them admissions if it was provided. During COVID, we decided to go test blind, partly because it was hard to access those standardized tests during COVID, but also because we felt like it was a more equitable way to do admissions. Our admissions is fairly barrier-free. There's an application process. You have to have a 2.5 GPA. If you do not have a 2.5, but you have a kind of a good story to tell, you can appeal that criteria. And so most of our admissions, our undergraduate admissions, are fairly open and barrier-free. Some, like nursing, there is a selection process and an interview process. Our graduate admissions process, some require standardized tests, some do not. It may depend on their accreditation, and they're a little bit more selective. As we design programs, we try to put them in, into educational pathways. We realize that coming to Anchorage or engaging in any kind of academic program for 4 years or longer may seem like an overwhelming task for some students. And so we have tried to build in scaffolded pathways. So we might start with a certificate and move on to an associate's degree, move on to a bachelor's degree. And those pathways are very clearly articulated, and everything that you might earn in an associate's degree will pull through to the bachelor's degree. We know that if you stop out of college and for a while, some of your credits may not transfer back in because of time. But if you lock in a credential, if you lock in a certificate or an associate's degree, then people will largely take those, other colleges will largely take those credits. So we want to make that more popular and positive for your pathways. We also work with a number of institutions to develop partnerships to offer our programs. I mentioned the Alaska Primary Care Association. We work with a number of school districts to deliver education programs. We have partnerships with the Alaska Native Heritage Center, with the Anchorage Museum. All of these partnerships support our work to enrich our curriculum, but also to make access to education more affordable and more available for students. One of the primary partnerships we have is with the Alaska Tribal Health System. And if you are an employee or a dependent or a board member of an Alaska Tribal Health organization, we have scholarship assistance for you there as well. That leads me to our affordability. It's always a question because we are a private institution, and our tuition looks to be more than the state system, and it is more than the state system, but we provide on average $15,000 per student for in financial aid, either donor funded or institutional aid. So it brings the cost of our education into comparable with the university system. We offer a number of different scholarship and other kinds of grant opportunities. I want to point out a couple of them. Our Promise Tuition Grant is for students who are Pell eligible. If a student is Pell eligible, fully Pell eligible, after applying Pell and other scholarships, we will make up the gap in tuition. So a student will not pay any tuition if they're fully Pell eligible. We also offer merit scholarships up front, so you can go to our website and see if you have a certain GPA, how much funding you would get from those merit scholarships. We, of course, offer the Alaska Award and other state-funded scholarships. We are working right now to make sure that our scholarships and awards reinforce our mission. So we'll be adding a scholarship specifically for Indigenous students. We also have funding for students who live on campus to offset some of the cost of housing. So we have our admissions team is out there and really willing to work with you if you want to bring students to campus. We have students coming through all the time, and we can tailor your visit if you have particular interests in different programs. They're out at college fairs, they're working elders and youth and AFN. So if you're there, please stop by our tables and say hello. We do open houses, both virtually and in person. So here are some of the remainder of our fall open houses. We also have nursing and early honors specific open houses. The nursing ones are done for this semester because we've just done admissions for our spring cohort, but they'll resume in the spring, and we'll also have early honors open houses in the spring. And here's our contact information. So I have just plowed through a ton of information, and I would be happy to entertain questions. I see that the Palmer campus does not have housing right now. That is my dream, is to have housing out there. It does have you can camp out there, but it doesn't have any kind of student housing out there yet. I don't know if you've seen in the chat, we can house 90 to 100 students at this point. And most of our housing we have different housing formats. We have some kind of traditional undergraduate suite style housing. We have some apartment style housing, and most of our housing offers single rooms at this point.
Thank you, Dr. Hallock. Could you tell us a little more about the Alaska Nursing Expansion Initiative and the funding you received?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. We received a $3 million grant to support the expansion of nursing education in Alaska. And right now we have an LPN program that is currently offered, as I mentioned, in Bethel, Fairbanks, Juneau, and the Mat-Su Valley. We're in conversation with some other villages to provide that as well, and we may also expand it to the Anchorage area. We also have an RN program. It's called the Associate's Degree in Nursing, so it's ADN technically, and that is a program that runs a year and a half, and there is a year worth of prerequisite courses. We have students who take those prerequisites at APU. We also have them have students who've taken most of them at another institution are ready to transfer them in. We do have a course that's unique to our program called Culturally Safe Healthcare. The concept of cultural safety runs throughout our nursing programs, and that course is required as a prerequisite for all our programs. And students find it really transformative, and it's a strong foundation for the rest of the technical nursing program courses. We also have an RN to BSN, so students who already have their RN can complete the rest of the bachelor's degree requirements. And the nursing classes that are part of the RN to BSN classes are all online. Most of the other foundational courses can be taken online or transferred in, although that takes some scheduling. Not all of them I can't guarantee that you would get an entire program online unless you're very strategic in how you got your foundational classes. The Department of Labor grant will help us expand from about 40 nursing graduates to 140 nursing graduates each year. And part of that is we'll be adding this spring, a spring start for our ADN program that produces the RNs. We have recently only offered a fall start, and we're going to offer another spring start. That admission cycle has already happened. but we plan to continue doing that every year. We also will expand, as I mentioned, LPN to other areas. And right now we're working on an LPN to RN articulated degree. So it's an accelerated pathway to the RN for students who have already have an LPN. The Palmer campus, we do offer out in the Mat-Su Valley our LPN program. It's not specifically located on the Palmer campus. We work with clinical sites in Wasilla and Palmer and other parts around the valley for various clinical opportunities there, but the coursework is mostly online. So we're really excited about our nursing expansion. The other part of that program involves working with partners, employer partners, and nursing career partners and other folks, the Board of Nursing and other folks who support the expansion of nursing in Alaska. So it really is a collaborative effort, but it will support, it helps us add faculty, it helps us add student support services for nurses as well. So our spring dual credit courses, we have our specific early honors courses. And again, those are any courses. If you're in the early honors program, you can participate in any of our coursework. And we can give you more information about that if you're interested. We don't have a specific set of dual credit courses that we were working with school districts on that. We have some specific partnerships, but we don't have a full set of dual credit courses that are available. Our course list in general is available on our website. If you go to the front page of the website, you'll see a tab up at the top that says courses, and you can search by semester, you can search by discipline, you can search by instructor or title of courses. So if you're interested in just exploring, and students can come as non-degree students. They can just, if you had a high school student who just wanted to take one class, or some other student who just wanted to take one class, they could come and enroll as a non-degree student and just take that class as well. Yes, unless it's a specific, so the question is, would we have to be enrolled in the early honors program? Yes, unless it's a specific partnership. We do a partnership with, for example, Alaska Excel, where we do a dual credit intro to education class, but we don't have just a standard dual credit offering for us. We have started a program called the Tumiara Grant, where we're working with the Lower Kuskokwim School District and the Yupik School District. We'd be happy to talk to other school districts to offer college readiness programs that do have some dual credit options in there. And that is instruction in writing and math that is culturally responsive and relevant, and in hopes that it will prepare people to become more college ready to either enter our early honors program or other post-secondary opportunities. So again, we have some dual credits that are specific to particular partnerships, but we don't have just a generic dual credit option. And Brian and Amy have put some links in the chat for you if you're interested in exploring some of those opportunities.
Dr. Hallock, going back to your nursing courses for a moment, with this expansion grant, you mentioned that you will be able to educate and train over 100 students now. So the education part, the training part is brought to communities across Alaska. Is it accessible virtually? With nursing students, they also get hands-on training, right? And so how is that, how does it look?
So it depends on the program. I'll start with the BSN program. If a student already has an RN, they're already licensed, they've already done all their clinical training, And so most of their coursework is online, and they can take that from anywhere in the state. But it's for people who already have an active RN license. The associate's degree in nursing is a very clinical heavy department or program. There's about a year's worth of prerequisite coursework, which are things like foundational writing, math, science, anatomy and physiology, culturally safe healthcare. So they've got biology, they've got chemistry. It's a pretty lab focused course. We have some of that offerings. Some of those offerings are available online, and we are working to offer more online access to particularly some of our science classes. But for the most part, they are more commonly offered on campus. They can also be transferred in as part of their application process. And then when they get admitted to the ADN program, right now that is for folks in Anchorage and in Utqiagvik. Most of the coursework for the Utqiagvik students is online, and then they do clinical work at Samuel Simmons Hospital. Right now, we have most of our nursing clinical placements in Anchorage happen at the Alaska Native Medical Center, but we're also looking to expand those placements. We're in conversations with Providence and regional as well. The LPN program has a few prerequisite courses. It has a kind of an academic prerequisite and an experiential prerequisite before admission. So the academic prerequisite is an AMP class, AMP 1, and we will be offering that virtually online starting in the spring. It can also be transferred in from some other institutions, and there are other academic kind of prerequisite options if you don't have AMP1. And then there's an experiential prerequisite. So that is most commonly students who have a CNA certification, but it can also be an EMT or some other direct patient service care. We want students to kind of know what they're getting themselves into before they launch into AP or LPN training. And we're partnered with various folks around the state. Again, I mentioned several facilities in the Mat-Su Valley. We're working with Bartlett Hospital in Juneau. We're working with Fairbanks Memorial in Fairbanks, with Narviat and the Elders Home and the Kuskokwim, Yukon-Kuskokwim Health Consortium. So we work with partners to provide sites for clinical training. And so students really do need to be able to get to those sites pretty regularly to do that hands-on training. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does.
A little bit more information than you thought you were going to ask for, but yeah.
Thank you.
So we really do need to be near those sites. We are in conversation with places like Nome and some other locations, and we hope to start again the LPN to RN program fairly soon in Anchorage, and also a straight up LPN in Anchorage. We have some demand from some of our partners who would like to staff up their facility, so we're going to try to help them do that.
Thank you. Excellent. I do have another question because it's a burning question because of the shortage of skilled or educators across the state. You mentioned apprenticeship education, apprenticeship in the education field. Could you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, we have some experience credentialing apprenticeships in health occupations and also community health. So we kind of know how that works. We have a K-8 teacher certification program, which is a graduate certificate for folks who already have an undergraduate degree and just want to go for teacher certification. And then several years ago, we started a community and place-based education undergraduate program. which recognizes that education happens in schools, but also in other places. If you're interested in teacher education as part of the community and place-based education, like going for your teaching licensure, you can do that and then just do an extra semester for your student teaching. So the program is an accelerated placement into the K-8 graduate certificate. So we have been in conversation and a partnership with several school districts to explore rearranging our curriculum essentially to give credit for those folks who are working in schools already as paraprofessionals or associate teachers, to align our curriculum with their competencies that they're demonstrating every day as teachers, as folks who are in front of classes. And we feel like that alignment will happen very soon. That will give folks an opportunity to more accelerate getting their undergraduate degree and go for full teacher licensure. It's really in the planning stages right now, when we're going to work with Bering Strait School District initially to kind of pilot that program, but we're also in conversation with some other school districts who are interested in that. The state Board of Education is also exploring this option as kind of a more formal way of offering those credentials. But the key is that you have to get a bachelor's degree to get a teaching license. So we are trying to make that as integrated and competency-based as possible, and also as culturally relevant and safe as possible. So we are hoping that we can align our competency, our community and place-based education program with teacher standards, teaching standards, and the Alaska cultural standards to make an apprenticeship model for us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I would say that we're looking to have that up and running probably in the next year or so, assuming we can get all the approvals through.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hallock. Thank you to you and your team, Brian and Amy. If we have no other questions, well, we thank you for your time today, for joining us. So you mentioned that Brian and Amy are at the Alaska Federation of Natives, yes?
Yep, we'll have a table there. They won't be there the whole time, I hope, but we'll have admissions counselors as well as some faculty and staff who are helping out with our tables, and we'll be around. So if you run into us, please say hello.
Perfect. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Dr. Hallock. Always pleasure to see you. Thanks for an update.
Thanks.
With the university. Outstanding. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.